puff pastries, crunchy ambrosia, or marketing scam? You decide. Hello shepherds, welcome back, and if you're new here, hello. I just cracked open a cold lump of sheep's butter, so let's make a homegrown puff pastry and start a billionaire. Let's start with the dough. In the smallish bowl, we're going to toss in our strong or bread flour, as it's called, with 1 teaspoon or 5 grams of salt. For the dough part, we'll also need to melt around 2 tablespoons or 25 grams of butter. I'm using our sheep's butter, and we're going to heat it up and then let it cool a bit before adding it into our flour. So while our butter is cooling, let's make our butter filling. I'm using a parchment paper since that's what I have on hand, but wax paper should work too. For most recipes, most any animal butter will do, but this recipe is a little more particular. This is sheep's butter, and unlike cow butter, which gets really hard when it's cold, sheep's butter, when it's super cold, still retains a bit of its softness. So even when it's pulled from the fridge, it's still pretty easy to slice. And if you've ever seen folks smack their puff pastries with their rolling pins to soften it, that's because they're using a high percentage butterfat cow butter. It's prone to cracking when rolling straight from the fridge, so to soften it, people whack it. Sheep and goats, on the other hand, because of their smaller globules of sheep and in kind goat butter fats, our butter is overall softer, even though it's straight from the fridge cold. So don't forget to keep in mind the type of butter you're using, what animals your butter comes from, as well as the composition, since it really does affect how the butter behaves, and ultimately how we treat our puffy goodness. But I'm here to help you avoid these pitfalls. So let's finish laying our butter slices into an almost rectangular-ish shape. I have some bits of butter that softened from cutting, and I'm going to wedge them into the gaps and then cover it with our paper. If you've ever made butter before, we're shaping it just like that. I'm using our rolling pin to even out our butter and then pat the sides. I'm looking to make it smaller than about a piece of paper. I just prefer to work smaller. It fits in the fridge easier, but if you want a larger piece, that works too. Okay, so we're gonna pop that butter pat into the fridge and let it chill for around 30 minutes. And I believe our butter has cooled enough, so we can go ahead and add our butter into our flour and salt mix. If we add our butter in while it's hot, it really will mess with our flour structure. So let's go ahead and add our cooled butter in and knead. It's looking a little dry to my taste, so I was thinking about it. I think I forgot something, and it turns out I forgot to add the water, so let's go ahead and add that in now. It's still a little dry, so I'm adding water slowly by wetting my hands and mixing in our dough. But also, I'm okay with it being a little on the dry end. As we work it later on, it will moisten up a bit. So even though there are dry bits, I'm leaving this as is. So let's go ahead and shape our dough into a bowl and slice it up, relaxing our dough nicely and then popping it in the fridge to chill, covered for about 30 minutes. Now that our butter pat and dough are chilled through, we're gonna nestle our butter pat into our dough. To do this, let's roll out our dough to be about twice the size of our butter pat. Basically, we're gift wrapping a butter. Is this the present of tastiness? Okay, so our sheep pat will be softer, so take care to bring your attention to the butter and dough while you're working it. We want to cover our butter fully with our dough, so later on it won't sploosh out as we're rolling. If you're using cow butter, on the other hand, cow butter can be prone to cracking if it's too chilled or too cold. So maybe leaving it out on the counter to warm up or hitting it with a rolling pin to soften that dough and butter up. Sheep and goat butter, as I mentioned earlier, due to their fat molecule size, really benefit from working colder. So if you notice that your butter is softening too much, pop your dough back into the fridge to firm it back up. And once our package is ready, we want to flip it and roll it out long, and then fold it back onto itself in thirds. The sheep's dough here seemed a little soft to me, so I'm going to go ahead and pop it back into the fridge to chill out some more and then continue on with our first pass or turn. If yours is fine and doesn't need to be put in the fridge, that's okay. I'm wrapping it in our butter wrapper from earlier to keep it from drying out as it cools. So about 15 minutes have passed, so let's go ahead and finish our first turn by rotating it 90 degrees and rolling out our dough, and then folding it in thirds again. Then we're going to go ahead and pop it back in the fridge to chill for another 30 minutes. If you're using cow butter before rolling out your dough, Make sure that it's cold but pliable so that it bends without breaking. When I was younger, before sheep butter, I didn't know how cow butter could break the dough if it's too cold and how important it is for cow butter to be pliable. I made every mistake you could, but I was fueled by the rage of how expensive puff pastry is, especially if you want to make a few dishes. Okay, so we worked our dough with the first pass, so let's go ahead and let it chill for 30 minutes minimum. And then repeat our roll out, fold, rotate, and then roll out, fold, and place seam side down, and then chill again well covered. If you want a light, flaky pastry, stop after like 3 passes. With each pass, we're adding more layers for the butter to get trapped and create that beautiful flakiness. I'm aiming for about 5 through 6 turns. And if you notice that your dough is sticking to your mat, like mine is, especially by the 4th turn, it helps to lightly flour the mat. Mine stuck a little by the 4th pass, so I lightly floured here and tucked that side under the fold and then continued to roll out the dough and then back into the fridge to chill and firm that up some more. My youngest wanted some elephant ears or orejas or palmieres. The same thing, different font. So I'm aiming for around 6 passes for today's pastry. Though for today's video, I thought it'd be fun to make some cheesy garlic pinwheels. It's a nice light snack. So for this, to help the cheese stay in place, we're going to dab the dough with some egg wash. And I'm using a combination of sheep cheeses, some grated aged ricotta, and some sheepy mozzarella sprinkles with a few cloves of diced garlic and a dash of mixed herbs. So oregano, basil, a little bit of thyme. Then we're going to roll our log into a pinwheel and slice thinnish. So about 1/2 inch or like a centimeter thick. Nothing really too exact. And then we're going to garnish with some more grated cheese because we love cheese here. I'm baking these at 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 204 degrees Celsius for about 15 to 20 minutes or until golden brown and bubbly. I'm placing these on a well-seasoned cookie sheet, but I've baked these in muffin tins too. They tend to hold their shape better in the muffin tins, but for now I'm just going to let them sploosh out in the cookie sheet. Okay, so they're ready, so let's go ahead and dig in. It's so crispy and flaky. I love the cheesiness, and there's a buttery earthiness. The garlic really comes through too. It's a deceptively light snack, but calorie dense. It's really nice when you want a nice savory snack. Okay, so what's your opinion on homegrown puff pastries versus bought? And at what point does it become too expensive to buy and better for your grocery budget, but also helping local economies by buying local ingredients? Oh, and for storage, it helps to wrap it well and freeze the dough for up to 6 months. And then when you want to thaw it, it's best to thaw it overnight in the fridge to use the next day. Okay, so if you've made it all the way to the end of the video, an extra special thank you. Don't forget, I appreciate you. And leave me a cake emoji. I think that counts as a puff pastry emoji. Don't forget to subscribe and like and all that deal. And anyway, until next time, ta-tas.